Revelation chapter number 19, verse 7 reads, "Let us be glad and rejoice and give him praise. For the marriage of the Lamb is come, and his wife has prepared herself," or as the King James says, has made herself ready. Bridal preparations, what do they entail? What does it mean to become ready to be the wife of the Lamb? Hi, this is Barry Phillips with 10-Minute Torah, day number 3, the Torah portion, Vayetzi, which means, and he went out. Let's go to Bereshit, or Genesis chapter 29, begin reading with verse number 10. "And it came to be when Yaakov saw Rachel, the daughter of Laban, his mother's brother, and the sheep of Laban, his mother's brother, Yaakov went near, rolled the stone from the well's mouth, and watered the flock, Laban, his mother's brother. Yaakov kissed Rachel, lifted up his voice, and wept. When Yaakov told Rachel that he was her father's relative, that he was Rivka's son, she ran and told her father. Laban comes out. He welcomes Yaakov into the family. They labor together a bit for 30 days or so for a new moon. And then Laban asks, "So what are your wages going to be? What are you going to work for?" It says in verse number 16 that Laban had 2 daughters. The name of the elder was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel. Leah's eyes were weak, but Rachel was beautiful of form and beautiful of appearance. Yaakov loved Rachel. So he said, "Let me serve you 7 years for Rachel, your younger daughter." Laban agrees. He works for 7 years. He says, "I'm ready for the wedding. I'm ready to receive my wife." And it says in verse 23, "And it came to be in the evening that he, that is Laban, took Leah, his daughter, and brought her to Yaakov, and he went into her." Perhaps in a stupor from the wedding celebrations, in which the bride would have been heavily veiled, and perhaps because it was dark, he did not know who was in the tent with him. Verse 25, "And in the morning it came to be that, see, it was Leah. So he said to Laban, 'What is this that you have done to me?'" Oh, Yaakov. The tragedies, the heartbreak, the drama, the narrative that is going to be played out over the next chapters pertaining to 2 sisters that are vying for the attention and the love of one man. It gives us an either-or scenario in many minds. It's kind of like Gilligan's Island, for those that remember that, where young boys were trying to choose between Ginger and Mary Ann, or the Archie's comic book where you chose between Betty and Veronica. Well, here it's not so much a choice between Leah and Rachel. And before I say this, let me just clear this up immediately and up front. I do not promote, agree with, or advocate plurality of wives in any issue, in any circumstance. It's a bad road to travel down. Whatever legal or scriptural argument you have, it never, ever turns out right. Don't even go there. But in this case study, there's more to it than just Yaakov choosing a wife. There is revelation and prophecy that is being given to us, and we want to study these things at that level. Because there's so much to look at, we're going to take 2 days, today and tomorrow, to look at the bride. Originally, we asked on Monday the question, is the bride always to be found in exile? Predominantly, the question's answer is yes. And the second question was, well, why couldn't a servant be sent to get Yaakov his wife? It could be he would have only brought back one, and not all of the dimensions of the bride. You see, the bride of the Messiah, it's important that we hear this, is multifaceted, multidimensional. The bride is multi-ethnic. It is multicultural. It is multiracial. It is so many multis. It's overwhelming to us to understand all the dimensions of the bride. Now, the bride is given to us in the feminine understanding, and it's not to promote the feminine over the masculine or any of that. It's not a comparative here. It's just a quality that we need to use as a lens to look through to see these dimensions. In the beginning of chapter 29, you have 3 flocks, 3 shepherds that show up at a well with a capstone on it. The rabbis and the sages have taught that this is the capstone, the stone that the builders rejected. It is one that they have struggled with. Here's a prophetic picture for you. So we have the tribe of Yehuda, the tribe of Levi, the tribe of Benjamin, the 3 tribes that make up the southern kingdom. They cannot access the waters of redemption or the waters of life or the waters of revelation, the waters of purity, etc., because they have a problem dealing with the stone that is on the top. Yaakov comes, and at the same time, then Rachel comes bringing the other house. She gives birth to the house of Joseph. The other house, the other tribes come. And with that, then Yaakov lifts the stone, and all of the tribes are able to get them water. Once the stone of Yeshua is lifted up, then the water can be found. Interesting picture. So the tragedy of this moment, when Yaakov wakes up and he looks over and it's not Rachel, it's Leah. 2 heart-wrenching ideas come immediately to my mind. One is he loved Leah, their first night together, the way he would only love Rachel. So for one night, she knew what it was like to be loved by Yaakov with all of his being. And for the rest of their lives together, perhaps that passion, that fire, that warmth, that energy, that overwhelmingness of the giving of himself to her was always lacking. Perhaps because he resented her for being deceived to some degree, or because he reserved that only for Rachel. And she chased that. She chased that for the rest of her life. The other is, what if she heard him say to her father, "What is this that you've done to me?" The feeling of rejection that she must have felt at that moment had to be horrendous. Rachel, on the other hand, is this beauty pageant winner. She's gorgeous. She's attractive in all of her form. She's all that Yaakov dreamed of having for a wife. And for all of the love and the attention and the time that he gave to her, she had to be looking over her shoulder at Leah, who was giving birth to one child after the other, after the other, after the other, and providing sons. And she herself is barren. There is an understanding from then those that deal with the deeper understandings, is they say that when you get married, you may think that you're marrying Rachel, the comely, perfect, the fictitious wife that you choose in your dreams. But in reality, you're bound to discover that this beautiful woman is really Leah on the inside, possessing layers of unresolved wounds and tensions. Too often we marry with what our eyes see rather than what our spirit understands. Can I tell you, our Messiah has seen the beauty and the potential beauties of the bride. But he didn't come and give himself for one that's just radiant and beautiful, but also for one that is complicated and broken and hurting, shattered, wounded. And he loves us as much for our pain and our need as for the beauty that we think we can offer on the outside. We'll take this deeper tomorrow. Until then, shalom.